In 1996, Jeffrey Jerome Cohen published his essay titled Monster Culture: 7 Theses. In the essay, Cohen uses 7 theses to generalize the concept of a monster through a cultural lens. Cohen demonstrates in the essay that monsters are inherently cultural, that monsters represent the fears and anxieties from a specific time and place. Cohen develops this idea in his 4th, 5th, and 6th theses within the essay. These 3 theses detail that monsters are difference made flesh. This difference is not only physical, but cultural, racial, and sexual. The monster serves to punish those who stray away from the status quo, keeping people in their place. However, contrary to these 2 ideas, the monster also serves to evoke a sense of desire among us. The movie The Shape of Water is a perfect representation of these ideas that Cohen represents in his 7 theses. Rather than being a normal monster movie with an amphibian man terrorizing humanity, The Shape of Water deconstructs this idea of what a monster really is, from both the perspective of the movie's iconic creature and the perspective of the fascinating characters within the movie. The Shape of Water bears a lot of similarities to another movie that premiered almost 70 years ago. The film The Creature from the Black Lagoon is a black and white monster movie that was released in 1954. The plot revolves around an amphibian humanoid terrorizing a geology expedition in the Amazon rainforest. The plot of The Creature of the Black Lagoon has immediate similarities to the plot of The Shape of Water. Both movies depict an amphibian humanoid creature as a monster. Both creatures hail from the same location. Both movies feature a prominent female the character becomes interested in. These similarities are no coincidence. Director Guillermo del Toro took inspiration from the original 1954 film to create The Shape of Water. In an interview with Los Angeles Times, del Toro states, "I've had this movie in my head since I was 6, not as a story, but as an idea. When I saw the creature swimming under Julie Adams, I was overwhelmed by the beauty." It's clear that Guillermo del Toro used plenty of inspiration from The Creature of the Black Lagoon to build off the ideas present within The Shape of Water. While both films share striking similarities, there is one major difference between them in how the creature is portrayed. In Creature from the Black Lagoon, the creature is portrayed as a brutal animal with a seemingly sinister attraction towards Julie Adams' character, Kay. The monster in The Shape of Water, however, is much more complex and fascinating. The creature's development within the film can be seen in 3 key moments surrounding the main character, Eliza Esposito. These are the introduction of the monster, Eliza's connection to the monster, and the romance between the monster and Eliza. Our introduction to the monster is very stereotypical. Eliza is a mute woman who works as a cleaning lady in a top-secret government facility. Her and the audience's introduction to the monster is this scene.
Get them out! Tell them who listen.
This scene uses very familiar elements when it comes to monsters and horror, such as a jump scare. After the scene, we get another scene in which Colonel Strickland gets both of his fingers bitten off by the creature while torturing it. In both of these scenes, the creature is portrayed as a monster to the audience. Both the audience and Eliza have no connection to the creature. We simply see it as one would see the monster in The Creature from the Black Lagoon. However, things start to change once Eliza is tasked with cleaning the lab where the creature is held captive. We see scenes of both Eliza and the monster bonding, using food, music, the latter of which is seen as something that fundamentally connects humans. The creature evolves from a mysterious horror to a curious animal capable of communication and empathy. Finally, in a later scene, we get the defining moment in which the romance between Eliza and the monster becomes very real.
I move my mouth like him. I make no sound like him. What does that make me? All that I am, all that I've ever been, brought me here to him. See, you're saying him. It's a him now. It's a...
The scene marks the turning point in how the audience views the creature. We see Eliza's body language and understand the arguments she is conveying through the use of sign language. We then understand that the creature is something much more to Eliza than simply an intelligent animal. From this scene forward, we view the creature in the same way we may view another human, building a relationship that was not at all present when the creature was first introduced to us. And the way we view the creature as the film progresses continues to evolve alongside with the creature's and Eliza's romance throughout the rest of the film. We first view the creature as a monster, likely in the same way the normal person would view the creature in Creature from the Black Lagoon. However, the more we connect with the main character of Eliza, and the more she connects with the creature, our viewpoint starts to shift, until we see the creature as something more akin to another human. The romance between Eliza and the creature isn't the only dynamic present within the film, however. After all, the movie is set in 1960s America, a time when the civil rights movement was at its peak. The Shape of Water brilliantly explores this through its very complex and intriguing characters. Take the character of Giles, for example. Giles is Eliza's neighbor. They both live in presumably low-income apartments that are built directly above a movie theater. Giles is also a closeted gay man. The film never states this explicitly, and instead conveys this by developing Giles' character throughout the film. Giles' role in the film is especially important thematically. For one, the way Giles views the creature throughout the movie is akin to the way we, the audience, view the creature. First as something intelligent but ultimately inhuman, then as something much more than that. As a consequence, we empathize with Giles in his struggle much more than we would otherwise. The audience, regardless of sexual orientation, sees the world of The Shape of Water through a man that is forced to keep something that is a part of him hidden away due to the society and the time period he happens to live in. Giles' sexuality also plays a very important factor in Eliza and the creature's romance. Homosexuality in the 1960s was viewed as an affront and an act against nature, the same way one today might view the romance between the creature and Eliza at first glance. In the same way Eliza and the creature's relationship might be considered an act against God today, Giles' sexual orientation was also seen in a similar way during the time period in which this movie takes place. Another interesting character within the film is the character of Colonel Strickland. As stated earlier, Eliza works as a cleaning lady in a top-secret government facility that is used to house the creature. Eliza also works alongside her friend Zelda, a black woman that works in the same job as Eliza. Strickland arrives at the facility along with the creature and serves as both Eliza and Zelda's quote-unquote boss for the rest of the film. Strickland is a stereotypical man one envisions from the 1960s. He has a stereotypical American nuclear family. He drives fancy cars. He believes in the American dream. He also happens to be a misogynist and a racist. The themes of the movie are enhanced through the character of Strickland. He has no empathy or connection to the creature he has captured. While the audience's viewpoint of the creature evolves throughout the film, Strickland's remains fixed in place. Like his view of the creature, Strickland's view on people like Zelda and Eliza don't change either. Strickland views them in the same way he views a creature. He sees them as subhuman, people that deserve to be looked down upon, either because of their race, their physical differences, or their class. Strickland serves as the opposite of the movie's themes. While our viewpoint of the characters and the creature within the film is meant to evolve, Strickland's is meant to remain firmly in place, serving as someone the movie warns to never become. Perhaps the real monster is something that looks more human after all. Thematically, the characters of Giles, Strickland, and Eliza and the creature beg the question of what a person really is. We greatly empathize with Giles despite his sexuality being considered inhuman during the time period he lives in. We greatly empathize with Eliza, despite her missing voice, something that many would consider fundamentally human. We empathize with the creature, despite it not even being a human. The ideas the movie brings forward really bring into question on how we view being human in the past and how we currently view being human in the present. We oppose the character of Strickland due to his closed-minded and unsympathetic perspective on what a person should be. However, this movie shows that what we considered an affront and inhuman many years ago is now considered something quote-unquote human today. It begs the question of how society will progress in the future. What is something today that is seen as monstrous but will later evolve into something we consider human? What even is a monster? In the case of the creature from the Black Lagoon, the monster is a horrifying amphibian humanoid that kills people and has a sinister attraction towards women. In the case of the Shape of Water, however, the monster is not the amphibian humanoid, but instead the society the characters live in and the quote-unquote ideal person from that society. The creature isn't the monster, humanity is the monster. In his seventh and final thesis, Jeffrey Jerome Cohen states that, quote, monsters ask us how we perceive the world and how we have misrepresented what we have attempted to place. They ask us to reevaluate our cultural assumptions about race, gender, sexuality, our perception of difference, our tolerance towards its expression. They ask us why we have created them, unquote. Perhaps it's time humanity looks inward at itself and stops looking for monsters where there are none.